So he says he needs to talk to me alone, and I'm thinking, I don't know, does he want a raise or what's going on? But I'm thinking, cool, I gotta tell you about this Street Outlaws thing. So Aaron's got his serious hat on, and he's fixing to tell me something, and I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna like it.
To quote Stevie Nicks, I think I have to go my own way.
For over a decade, custom car shows absolutely dominated television. Networks poured millions of dollars into massive garages, creating overnight superstars out of builders who could turn rust into gold on a seemingly impossible deadline. But that was exactly the problem. It was all for television.
Hey, Carlos. You're on Overhaulin, man.
No.
Behind the polished edits and the staged workshop banter, the biggest empires in the industry were quietly collapsing. While you were watching million-dollar reveals, the reality was vicious family feuds, faked restorations, brutal network lawsuits, and legendary shops quietly going bankrupt the second the cameras turned off. Today, we are opening the vault. From the explosive downfall of Gas Monkey Garage and the faked builds of Pimp My Ride, to the bitter, real-life rivalry of Foos and Boyd. This is the complete, untold truth of why the greatest automotive shows in history actually ended.
That's worth like 50 grand. And because you're with me and you ain't got any insurance, I'm gonna be the one that pays.
Every car fanatic out there knew of the entertaining world of Discovery Channel's very own Fast and Loud. It was indeed fast-paced and chock full of entertainment, from wild car flips and over-the-top imaginative requests from head honcho Richard Rawlings, that left the team at Gas Monkey Garage to be truly challenged within their innovative ways. The Gas Monkey Garage soared past rating expectations and created a following of car enthusiasts, hobbyists, and even the younger generations across the world. The impact they made on the entertainment television scene was as loud as some of the final productions that came out of the garage doors. So what happened to why the show ended? Why did Rick and his Gas Monkey Garage team come to an end? Well, it looks like you were in the right place. Here's what we know.
People see something like this in a field and they think it's a piece of garbage. But to guys like us, this thing is gold.
Gotta make cars that, number one, you can drive, number two, are just badass, scare women and children.
The shop's tough beginning. Some would find this almost hard to believe, considering how impressive and well-handled the Gas Monkey Garage and the brand that it had built for itself was. Rawlings' first business venture was a printing business, which he later sold to start a garage in Dallas, Texas. The thing is, however, they started the whole company simply working out of a tiny little mechanic shop that was no more than 1,200 square feet in itself. To add to that, the water and air conditioning weren't even operable. Could you imagine being crammed under a car up in the small mechanic shop with no air conditioning, trying to install a chassis on an old '69 Camaro? Yeah, it'll suck. But the idea came to Rawlings to start a whole new reality show that would be focused in whole on a rat rod style shop. This idea was not around at the time of his conception, and boy were they in for a ride. The shop opened around 2004, and it took 8 years for Rawlings to convince the Discovery Channel to film their shop. It turned out to be a successful show, running for a full 16 seasons. But as you'll find out though, it had some significant issues leading to its cancellation.
All right, so does that mean we get to go home?
No, because as good as this hood looks, you still got to get us to the doors.
We've been here for 2 days, we hadn't gone home.
So have we.
The outrageous work schedule. Long nights and longer days were a regular schedule for the cast and crew. When you work hours on end and are also doing some back-breaking manual labor, the lack of sleep can start to get to you. Couple that with the anxiety of being on camera non-stop at times and feeling like there is a sense of lack of privacy, then you have a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. Some reports say that the crew went 16 hours on end with filming and getting the right shots. Sometimes they were asked to repeat or even remake things that had happened that the producers wanted to recreate. There were times behind the scenes and on camera that showed the crew just getting to their wits' end. After 16 successful seasons, the show most definitely may have become daunting on some. We surely saw how it fared on Rawlings.
You should be working. Don't be listening to me. Get in there, do something. Jeez. I mean, you're the lowest man on the totem pole. I'm an idiot, and I'm pretty sure I can build the proper mount for that in about 2 hours.
Rawlings' attitude. Rawlings' attitude and personality is a big reason why his show ran for 8 years. But he was described as someone who doesn't listen to anyone except himself. With the rise and success of the show, so did his ego. It was difficult for the staff to have a positive view of their boss when he never admitted any weaknesses, even when he made a mistake. Rawlings' attitude can be a reason why the shop had such a high turnover rate. It's safe to say that if you worked for Richard, you wanted to be on his good side.
That was thanks to Captain Insano!
Tom Smith and the rules. Let's face it, either you love him or hate him. Tom Smith was a former cast member of Fast and Loud, who also happened to be the reigning champ at becoming the most annoying member of the Gas Monkey crew. Smith's co-workers had established special rules whenever he became too annoying for their sanity and mental state. According to the office manager Christy Brimberry, the staff had special methods to handle the talented but disobedient mechanic. Once, when a fan asked Brimberry how she handled Tom, her response didn't seem to describe a full-grown, well-articulated businessman, as treated him like a child when his behavior is offsetting. Otherwise, Tom would get loud and obnoxious like a kid that just was not able to get their way.
Which way's he going? Wrong way! Oh! Oh! Go, 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 go! Line him up! Go! Go! Oh, yeah!
The shop today isn't like it used to be. We were all shocked to see the news when we found out stars Jordan Butler, Tom Smith, and Scott McMillan were fired by Rawlings. These cast members and mechanics were favorited by viewers, and fans were outraged at the reason for their severance. According to Tom Smith, he and Jordan Butler were filming at the garage one day when a fan with cystic fibrosis wanted to get a picture with Rawlings' Rolls-Royce. This changed how fans viewed Rawlings, and he probably felt bad after. So he helped create another show called Misfit Garage, where the old Gas Monkey employees tried to replicate and compete with Rawlings' shop. But why would Rawlings fire his staff just to cast them for a new show? Sounds like more drama just to make another show out of.
It's pretty simple math. This costs more, so you have to produce more. That's the part I didn't tell everybody. Everybody's taking a 20% pay cut so that I can afford this building.
Lawsuits and business ventures. Richard Rawlings' goal is to turn Gas Monkey into a billion-dollar brand. And to do that, he can't just flip cars and make a TV show about it. He has created a large merchandise line, Gas Monkey Bar and Grill, as well as Gas Monkey Live. Unfortunately, his dream concert venue, Gas Monkey Live, has been officially closed due to a lack of profitability, having such a large venue and only hosting a few people, and their landlord had issues with him as well. So that leaves us with the Gas Monkey Bar and Grill, which filed a $6 million defamation lawsuit against Rawlings in 2018. In the lawsuit, bar employees noted how problems began with Rawlings as soon as it was first being constructed. He apparently was extremely disruptive and treated the construction workers very poorly. The employees described Rawlings' behavior as that of a spoiled 13-year-old. He was later banned from the construction site so it could be opened on time. So hopefully the merchandise line can make it big.
Everybody hold on to your hat out there. Fast and Loud is no more. We're going to be doing some cool things in 2021, and it just was a perfect storm, so to speak. It was time for me to expand.
Creative development issues and the end of Fast and Loud. Everyone would think that something must have happened for the very successful show to be brought to an end. But the truth is that it was a decision made by Rawlings solely by himself. The reality star made an appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, and made surprising news about the future of Fast and Loud. The Gas Monkey owner shared on Joe Rogan's show that a decade ago when he initially signed up with Discovery, social media was not the powerhouse it is now. Discovery wanted to have complete control of Richard's social media and his millions of followers. This means that Richard had to share info on other Discovery shows and less about his personal life.
So that's one of the things I want to talk about the vacation and maybe extending it a little bit further. To quote Stevie Nicks, I think I have to go my own way.
Have the ability to manufacture their own parts for their jobs. Their shop gained a ton of notoriety, so much so that they were offered a reality television show on the Velocity network. So in 2014, the show's first episode aired and had Dan and his crew restoring a 1963 Chevrolet Corvette and a Ford Model A hot rod. It was the start of a massively successful series that ran until 2019. Fans bore witness to drama and art all rolled into one show. But what brought it to an end? There were a few contributing factors.
We have a member of the team who's leaving. Dale hasn't always been the most diplomatic, and quite honestly, he's not afraid of whining. He worked his butt off, became a top-notch electrician, and speaking from all of us, I can say we're gonna miss him. Come on up here, Dale, and we're gonna say goodbye to you in about the only way we can.
The successful show made it much harder to continue running a business. As with many reality shows that revolve around an existing business, the stresses of being in front of a camera add an incredibly difficult dynamic to business ownership. New hours, a different way of operating, shoots and reshoots. These things are a lot to ask for people who simply want to come to work, fix cars, and go home. For Dan Short, it was like this from day one. In a post written by Short on the company's website explaining their departure from the show, Smith stated, "Right after the show began, employee turnover increased tenfold. Stresses in the show skyrocketed and attacks on my company. Blood-sucking leeches trying to suck riches that never existed came out of nowhere." However, it was evident in his post that he didn't hold anything against his crew, who maintained a high level of professionalism throughout the whole ordeal. Many of them stuck it out for as long as they could through many situations that were never in their original job descriptions. This is probably why the remaining crew members were incredibly supported when he announced his decision to not continue the show. As the cameras are now closing out the final segments of filming, the crew's morale has skyrocketed, and the love of building cars is effervescent again.
Okay, this thing got buried, dirt over it, and the worms have eaten it. There is nothing left here to save. This patient is gone. This car is possessed. I mean, half a mile at 5 miles an hour, the rear end feels like it's coming apart.
The stresses of the show took too much of a toll on Dan Short's personal life. As with nearly every other reality television show in existence, there were many who said that the show was scripted or that the drama was fake. Dan Short, not being a man to mince words, stood by the claim that there was nothing scripted about the show. As he was leaving the show and being open about his experiences, there was nothing to gain by Short to claim anything else. Now, what that also means is that the tirades, the language, the heightened emotions in the shop were all real as well. When you mix this with the fact that they filmed 5 and sometimes 6 days per week for up to 12 hours per day, all while trying to keep your business running, it would drive a person to lash out. This extreme attitude and personality change was a direct result of the stress he was put under while trying to run the business and film at the same time. While part of the show was filming, Short's father's health started to fail, bringing him ever closer to death. The film schedule was so demanding that during the final weeks of my father's life, I was not able to attend to him, said Dan. To make matters worse, my wife and I now face almost $1 million of debt we incurred keeping the production going. Dan Short may have been making money as a television star, but in the end, none of it was worth the sacrifice of his personal life.
It's a big enough difference that Stevie Wonder could see that. This is your project. What do you mean you had no reason to look at it?
I didn't order these parts. These parts have been here since I started working here.
Get this project back on, because I told the owner we're going to have his car going into primer next week, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So figure it out.
A lawsuit almost killed the company early on. In Dan Short's post, he referenced the blood-sucking leeches trying to suck riches that never existed. What he was referring to was a lawsuit early on in the show's existence, where a client sued him for alleged fraud and took him to court. In 2012, a couple came into the shop and asked for a restoration on a 1960 Ford Thunderbird. After agreeing to the deal, they were quoted a restoration price of $40,000. Afterward, they paid $30,000 in 2 installments. But prior to making the last installment, there was a replacement part that the couple believed would cost $2,000 or $3,000. However, Short bought it for $6,000, which they ended up getting charged for, leaving them feeling cheated. A trial was held, but the jury rendered a verdict in favor of Dan Short. During the process, the couple had accused him of being a liar and stated that his business practices were illegal and shady. So Short filed a defamation suit in response, however, it was dismissed. Even though things ended up working out in his favor, the whole process left an incredibly bad taste in his mouth. He made it clear during the trial that these accusations had never been made in the previous 6 years of his business. Furthermore, he believed that his notoriety and perceived wealth was a driving factor behind the lawsuit. The couple believed that they would get some sort of incredibly high settlement or even a judgment. Obviously, this turned out not to be the case. But it was a big factor that made Short feel like he was a potential target. It was an idea that stuck with him even though he agreed to a couple more seasons of the show. Yes, the show saw some great times and made plenty of viewers happy. But in the end, the stress and the hectic nature of the show were more than Dan Short wanted to take on. He felt that he and his crew had had their time in the spotlight, and that it was now time to return to what they know and love best: restoring amazing cars. Today, Dan Short still runs his shop out of Norfolk, Virginia with his wife Melissa. Customers are still visiting his shop for everything from custom builds to restorations and even simple tours. He has even taken his shop to include some other services, such as restoring antiques like jukeboxes, vending machines, antique kitchen equipment, and more. It is obvious that he is back in the groove doing exactly what he has loved to do since he was 6 years old. Well done, Mr. Short. So, what do you miss most about the show? Let us know in the comments below. Inside West Coast Customs ended after this happened.
Right now. Oh my God, dude, this is up.
Before we start, be sure to subscribe to our channel down below and click on that notification bell to be updated on our latest uploads. Inside West Coast Customs was one of the most successful car shop shows ever made. But with its abrupt end after 9 successful seasons, the legitimacy and morals of the show behind the scenes may have been the reason for its end. Today, we're taking a look at the reasons why it ended. If you're unfamiliar with West Coast Customs, you better get with the program, because this shop in Burbank, California has been the #1 choice for celebrities and internet stars alike to get their expensive cars wrapped. Popularly known on the TV show for transforming ordinary cars into insanely unique and gorgeous customs, Inside West Coast Customs showcases the shop's self-proclaimed ability to fit any customer request and make it happen. But how they get there has been put under concern in recent years, as the show came to its abrupt end. From poorly treated workers to just downright unsuccessful results, these are just scratches on the hood of the problems this shop and show had in its 9-season run. Here's what we know.
I got a huge problem right now. I got a 1972 Buick Skylar. So you guys carry those seat covers?
No, we don't. They don't have it. They don't have that panel.
I feel like I'm gonna cry.
Underpaid workers. Back in 2014, West Coast Customs found themselves in some financial turmoil after settling with over $150,000 in back pay. This came after the U.S. Labor Department's investigation discovered that the shop paid weekly salaries on set amounts versus an hourly basis, to which its employees were unaware of. Even worse, the employees' overtime work wasn't even accounted for in these amounts.
How we doing, Ish?
Up.
Yeah, Crust. 3 a.m. you're gonna be leaving. Darren, why are you everything up?
No, that's not his fault, homie.
You got it?
I have to.
I better not see Ish leave at 6 o'clock when he's this far behind. He's got to catch up.
Overworked employees. With more and more celebrities flexing their fancy car wraps, the clientele of West Coast Customs has surely skyrocketed. With more demand comes more work. Probably due to this, the owner and shop have faced numerous accusations of overworking employees. Time and time again, West Coast Customs employees have come forward, complaining about the workplace ethics that pressured them into working unhealthy amounts. Some of these reports have noted even 10 to 12 hours of work without benefits.
Hello, boys and girls. How do you do? There was one of me. Now there are 2. We stole Will's car, and he has it back.
Publicity stunts. With a flashy clientele and a flashy shop all on the small screen, there are bound to be some antics that make their way on TV to help the business succeed. The owner of West Coast Customs is largely known for the false theft attempt that was staged by the shop and will.i.am, when the rapper's $700,000 DeLorean miraculously was missing and suddenly reappeared after a supposed recovery by West Coast Customs. Sounds pretty fake.
This is one of those deadlines that isn't a made-up deadline. It's a deadline in stone where the red carpet's the red carpet. They're not going to wait. I talk to the people at Disney. I let them know that we're not going to be at the premiere, but if there's something coming up, we'll just unveil it there.
Missed deadlines. You'd think with all those reports of overworking employees that the shop would turn out a perfect track record of deadlines being met. Unfortunately, that was not the case with West Coast Customs. As their popularity grew and grew, they began taking up more and more work than they had the capacity for, resulting in time being not in their favor. They've had to even push back deadlines. The most popular of these pushbacks was the Red 5 Studios Fireball bus ordeal. The monstrosity was reported completed when it was shown on screen, but the delivery of the actual vehicle was largely stalled for some unknown reason. So much for that good reputation.
Guys, we got a 20-year-old girl named Heather. She drives a 1986 Chevy C10 pickup. Big Dane, tell me, how you gonna get this started?
Yo, Ryan, most of the women I know change outfits several times a day. So we're gonna give Heather that same option for her truck. I'm talking about interchangeable grills right here, Ryan. One for the daytime, one for the nighttime, and of course, West Coast time.
West Coast Customs on other shows. Aside from a clientele list of high-profile celebrities, West Coast Customs has gotten a boost in publicity from other sources as well. The shop garnered some attention with its appearance in the reality show Pimp My Ride. This proved to be a good moneymaker for the TV show that later ended in chaos. A worried Friedling House grew worried about West Coast Customs' image and was looking for more control when it came to his clients. So he chose to part ways with MTV after 4 successful years. This sort of rendered a good decision for him as it led West Coast Customs to their own reality TV show.
Girl, if you are a girl, do not go into West Coast Customs alone. Liars, they're liars. They work with the highest end celebrities, like Justin Bieber gets his car there, like all these people get their cars there. Why am I being ticked around and lied to? Like, I don't understand. I'm paying so much money for my car, by the way.
Some cars were downright ruined. Back when YouTube star Trisha Paytas showed up to the shop to drop off her brand new Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon at West Coast Customs, the blonde Barbie didn't later receive the car as she expected. From installing extra parts that weren't originally requested to full-on damaging the car's electronics, affecting its lights and displays. West Coast Customs had a big problem on their hands, as now they had to deal with a chatty YouTuber with a broken car. Talk about a storytime video.
Think you can do it?
Of course.
Ryan, don't say
Come on.
Don't say you can do it if
We've
you
been
can't do it.
More client issues. A dissatisfied YouTube star wasn't the only client issues West Coast Customs had to deal with. They also have faced a slew of clients left upset by the company's struggling capacity and deadlines that keep getting pushed back. Even worse, a lot of the customizations West Coast Customs even does turns out to be pretty weak and not the unique, gorgeous results that are advertised on the TV show.
States have treated me great, but now it's time to conquer the world. Street Customs is coming to Berlin.
Bring it in now, pump it up. Man, them boys are crazy.
Expanding globally. As with any successful company, the goal is to take it bigger than before, aka globally. After years of a slew of high-profile clients and a hit TV show to go with it, West Coast Customs had an opportunity to grow the brand overseas. Back in 2008, the brand had actually opened a factory in Berlin, but this was obviously a too-soon decision, and it closed the following year. The next try came when a West Coast Customs employee, Mauricio Hernandez, got the owner's blessing to actually open up a shop down in Mexico. Turns out this was a pretty good decision as the shop actually was on Mexican TV for around 6 years. Unfortunately though, all these global pursuits diluted the brand's standing in California, leaving less interest in its main shop in Burbank, and therefore putting a dent in audience interest.
How many cars have we done?
We got 8 cars.
It's crazy.
So we start with the Range Rover, which was the first one ever.
Yep.
And then we moved to
Reputation dependent upon celebrities. From Shaq's generous involvement in West Coast Customs' beginnings, the company was able to establish its brand and appeal to a slew of high-profile clients. Unfortunately, though, a lot of these clients were either one-timers or just didn't keep up their advertisement of the shop later on. This is, of course, typically done by simply driving their custom cars, as later it's just a given that it was done by West Coast Customs. But as celebrities grow tired of their custom cars and opt to switch them out, West Coast Customs loses that mobile advertisement. Still, they've had some good runs. Even Justin Bieber was a client of theirs.
So let's talk about this build.
Yeah, I brought some plans.
Whoa.
This is a 1 and 17.5-inch scale. I call it the tailgate 2000.
The abrupt end. Inside West Coast Customs' future has recently been a large unknown question for the past 2 years, with the end of Season 8 back in 2018. The show was definitely successful, and you'd think a slew of controversy surrounding the company would only result in boosted publicity and audience attention. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to have worked out so well. There isn't much information about the actual cancellation of the show. The final episode of the show aired on April 10th of 2018, and we haven't heard a peep from the shop since. The actual shop is still running, of course. It seems that the high-profile clientele has slowly faded over the years, and the company has been left as a thing of the past. That really is as simple as it gets. Rise to stardom, successful ratings, high-profile clients, underpaid and overworked employees, more controversy, cancellation of the show. Seems like a pretty good timeline. What do you think? Is there a bigger reason for the show's cancellation? Should the shop come forward with a statement to appease fans of the show and put the rumors to rest? Leave a comment down below and let us know. American Chopper officially ended after this happened.
You got an awfully nice house for what I did. You got an awfully nice house for what I did.
Anyone who follows shows on cars or motorcycles will know about the hit show on the Discovery Channel, American Chopper. While it was running for 12 seasons, it was one of the most watched shows on the network. But as everyone knows, all great things have to eventually come to an end. What brought about the end of this show? Well, sit back and let's get into it.
Right? Sparks fly.
I don't know.
And tempers flare.
You send him upstairs, it's 45 minutes later.
History. To understand the downfall of this show, we need a little history on it as well. Premiering in 2003, American Choppers focused on the life of the Tuttle family. Paul Sr., usually called Sr., and Paul Jr., also known as Paulie or simply Jr. In 1999, after years of manufacturing custom motorcycles as an extension of his steel business, Paul Tuttle Sr. founded Orange County Choppers. Having worked with his father for a number of years, Paulie also worked for the company. From their shop in upstate New York, the two designed and built custom chopper motorcycles that were unlike anything else on the road. Upon learning of their incredible work, the Discovery Channel decided to build a show around their operation. In 2003, their new show American Choppers premiered. What the cameras captured over the years, though, was more than just the building of great bikes. Viewers bore witness to a very tumultuous relationship between father and son. Without fail, each episode would feature some epic fight between the team due to their conflicting styles and ideas. The viewers didn't seem to mind, though, as the ratings were always at the top. The show ran for 12 seasons, going through a couple of different cancellations and even being featured on multiple networks. So aside from the drama in the shop itself, the show had its series of ups and downs. The drama-filled show was also its own source of drama. So how did things end? Why did it end? There are a number of contributing factors to these answers. Let's check them out.
Did I tell you that you're the son that I've always wanted?
Yeah, you did tell me
that. Tell you?
Family tension. Since American Chopper premiered, it was easy to see that one of the main themes would be the conflict between Paul Sr. and Paul Jr. Well, maybe the word conflict doesn't quite describe it. In reality, they were blowout fights. They were both very good at building choppers, and they were both very opinionated. Shouting match after shouting match eventually led to one epic breakdown. In 2008, the anger hit its boiling point that led to Paul Jr.'s termination. Previous to this episode, Paulie Jr. had been showing up late to work a few times. Even though Paul Sr. called him on these things, Jr. didn't take it as seriously as he should have. In this episode, before confronting Paulie about the issue, Sr. says, "It's been one thing after another with him, and I'm not going to let him get away with this anymore." So he would go on to tell his son, "It's a 7:45. Everybody in here is at 7 o'clock, and you come walking in at 7:45. When the is it going to stop?" That was all it took. Paulie took it upon himself to try and defend his constant tardiness by saying, "At the end of the day, you know what matters? Everything gets done around here." Paulie continued to defend himself to his father before ultimately throwing a chair in the office. Fed up, Paul Sr. fired his son in front of the other employees. For any of the viewers who had been tuning in since the premiere, this was a very hard hit.
Do you think you can put it back together with your dad, or do you think your relationship's done?
You know, we don't have any communication other than through lawyers, unfortunately.
Legal issues. Although Paul Jr. was fired at one point, the show continued for a little while, but it left one very big question unanswered. Since Paul Jr. owned 20% of the business, what would happen to it? You can't exactly just throw out an owner like a regular employee. For starters, Paul Jr. was required to sign a 1-year non-compete clause, promising that he would not open a shop or start any business that would compete with Orange County Choppers. Also, as if having an all-out screaming match wasn't enough, Paul Sr. went on to sue his son to acquire his 20% interest in Orange County Choppers. Paul Jr. ended up winning the lawsuit. Paul Jr. even brought his own countersuit. However, as the price tag was $100 million, it was quickly dismissed. Paul Jr. wasn't the only legal battle to be fought, though. There was an artist who made some appearances on the show named Justin Barnes. Self-taught from the age of 16, his ability to paint the custom choppers was second to none. But soon, Justin saw that his appearances on the show weren't paying the bills. He quietly left, but the show wasn't done with his art yet. The show's producers copied some of his pieces onto merchandise, which was never in their original agreement, nor did he make any money from. So in May of 2009, he filed suit against the show for compensation. 2 months later, American Choppers was hit with yet another suit, this time filed by a former employee of Orange County Choppers, Cody Connolly. He filed a suit against Orange County Choppers and Paul Tuttle Sr., seeking damages for misappropriation of likeness, breach of contract, and fraud. His suit was based on his belief that the show used his likeness in merchandise long after he left the show in 2007.
The show's called American Chopper, and you know, it's all about building bikes. You know, Paulie hasn't even come close to building a bike yet.
You know, I don't know what the deal is, if it's some sort of tactic to intimidate me.
Failed reboot. American Choppers spent its time between two channels, the Discovery Channel and their sister network TLC. After a 7-year run, they announced that the series finale was scheduled for February 11, 2010. It was a big announcement, with TLC releasing a statement stating, "The Tuttles will always be a part of the Discovery family, and we congratulate them on a tremendously successful series run." The time was short-lived though, because on April 7th of that year, TLC announced that the family would be returning for a new series. The new series was called American Chopper Sr. vs. Jr., and as is pretty obvious, would stay focused around the volatile relationship between father and son. In this series, Paul Jr. had opened a competing custom chopper company in the same town as his father. It was located across the street from his younger brother Dan's business. From the beginning, it was obvious that the Discovery Channel was trying its hardest to capitalize on the drama that surrounded the Tuttles. Unfortunately for them, the show was not met with much acclaim. It took less than a year for the show to be moved from TLC back to the Discovery Channel. It was able to make it to second season, but it didn't hold the viewership that the original series did. On November 21, 2012, the president of Discovery Network, Eileen O'Neill, announced that the show had been canceled. The final episode aired on December 17, 2012.
Come straight down like a thin line, now cut it over, and then come all the way up.
Hopefully he has a sense of humor that I do.
The end of an era. Overall, American Chopper was an amazing series that showcased the skills of two exceptional mechanics. The choppers that came out of their garage were more than just fancy motorcycles. They were straight-up works of art. No matter what went on, their talent was undeniable. That was where they succeeded. However, the show's end was most likely the product of too much family drama. There's no telling how much producers of the show encouraged the conflict between father and son, but it's pretty understood that the encouragement was there in one way or another. As bad as that is though, it comes second to the fact that viewers were tuning in to watch a family. Father and son that were capable of so many amazing achievements were always at each other's throats. The most unfortunate part was, it went on even longer than the show was on. Years later in an interview with People magazine, Paul Jr. said, "There was a lawsuit and it was ugly. I don't think people realize this, but my father and I didn't speak for 10 years. It was a tough situation for both of us. We were really at odds." Yes, they came back for the spin-off series, but even at that point, their relationship was beyond repair. Luckily, in the years since the show, father and son have started to repair their relationship. There are even talks of yet another reboot. But the duo is very hesitant about it, as they both agree that they would keep their businesses separate. As Paul Sr. said, "Working together was the downfall of our relationship, and I'm not willing to give that up again." Overhaulin officially ended after this happened.
Hey, what do you think, man? Oh! What's up, man? Hold on, dude.
It's a few hours. He's already drove me crazy. You've been gone for an hour.
I've been gone for an hour.
Chip Foose left Boyd Coddington for financial issues. When Boyd was forced to file for bankruptcy, Chip had no choice but to leave and start his own design company called Foose Design. There was some conflict from Coddington, not just because Foose left, but also several former employees left at the same time. People were mainly drawn to the likable personality of Chip, and in fact, many of the designs that came out of Coddington's shop were made by Chip. The car community was shocked to hear the news that Coddington had passed away in 2008, but his legacy as a top hot rod designer lives on forever.
Hey, so I need you to come home.
I don't give a Let me sign the paper and get the off my property.
What? I would get
The drama on the show was completely fabricated. It is no shock to anyone that reality TV succeeds from drama, and Overhaulin knew it. No matter what the subject matter or show, the producers and editors made sure there was plenty of drama to keep viewers engaged. Overhaulin is one of the very few shows that have little, if any, real drama behind the scenes. Foose essentially made the show a true passion project, and all of the designers and car mechanics on the show shared the same passion as Chip did. They all wanted to do something super special for someone in need. Unfortunately, later in this video, you'll find out that there is a small twist. The whole setup of tricking the mark, which is what they called the subject having their car overhauled, was completely fabricated, and the producers made sure to piss off the person getting overhauled to get an insane reaction for the show.
It's not every day, though, you can get a car from Chip Foose, so I'm trying to weigh out my options there. You just made up my mind. I'm going with that. All right, let's do that. Cool, we got a deal. I think it was a really good trade.
The relationship with Gas Monkey was terminated over a publicity stunt. Chip Foose is one of many famous car designers, and he had the opportunity to work with many fellow professionals. One of these included a shop called Gas Monkey Garage and its owner Richard Rawlings. Gas Monkey Garage was set to be featured on an Overhaulin episode, but things went bad. Stephen Andrews, who is a car forum writer, spammed the internet car forums with a promotional video with Gas Monkey, but the entire hot rod world received it very poorly. After being accused in the media of juvenile humor and even heresy, the Overhaulin episode never ended up being aired, and the relationship between Gas Monkey and Overhaulin was too. Despite the drama, Discovery Communications wouldn't even confirm or deny they had contact with Andrews or Rawlings afterward, which in turn tarnished any relationship they had with the affiliated show.
To put the car out, I have not disclosed a fire yet.
Is the vehicle on fire?
Might as well be. What kind of car is it?
What are you, stupid? Dodge Challenger.
The show relied mainly on free or low-cost parts to function. To keep the show's overhead as low as possible, the A-Team relied heavily on companies who participated to either donate the parts or provide them at a very low cost. The main benefit for the suppliers was certainly exposure. The prize of having your company shown on one of the best-known automotive reality shows is a reward in itself, and has the potential to offset any financial loss in giving away parts. The sponsors of the show were extremely vital to Overhaulin, and without them, the cost of creating each and every car would have been extremely high. It turned out to be a very successful strategy, and as long as the show could bring viewers, the companies were happy to provide parts.
Holy
The Marks had to pay the taxes. The final cost of building every one car was calculated in the show's budget beforehand, and it's no surprise that the value of chips and the A-Team's finished products are very high. Since the cars are gifted to the Mark on the show, you wouldn't have to pay nearly the same as someone buying the car for themselves, but the participants are looking at a bare minimum $60,000 value on their new overhauled car. Since Overhaulin informs applicants on the show they are liable for all federal, state, and local taxes, when they receive their car back, they are unfortunately also hit with a large tax. The fair market value of the completed project is uncertain. The applicants for the show would have to have thousands of dollars just sitting around before they could even apply.
Watching this whole thing off stage, just a series of emotions.
Obviously, your dad drove it, your brother drove it, and then you have a second brother who's no longer with us, right?
Right. It's a little bittersweet because I'd love for him to be here with us. It's just all about the three boys and some great times we had with this car.
Many of the cars have sentimental value and are later sold. The main part of being chosen for an Overhaulin episode is to have a good and sometimes emotional story that the audience can relate to. Many of the cars are antiques that are rare collectibles, family heirlooms, or valued more for their sentiment than their market value. When Overhaulin completely transforms a car, the value of it surges on the market. The new owner is then faced with a dilemma. While the sentimental value remains, there may be a lot of money left on the table if the owner decides to keep it. Given that the majority of contestants on the show are regular working-class people, the opportunity of cashing in tens of thousands of dollars for just making it on a TV show may be too good of an opportunity to pass up, regardless of the sentiment or value it had to them beforehand. Sure, it sounds a bit sad, but it is good to know that they won't struggle with bills for a long time.
Does it run?
Well, Marky, tell him about it.
Edelbrock. Brand new crate 350, 450 horse, got a 200 R4 transmission from Art Car, so you can cruise this thing on the freeway.
Many of the cars had to be fine-tuned after completion. The projects featured on Overhaulin are notably very challenging, and it is surprising but true that all the cars are completed on time. Given the short time frame, it is common that the cars leave the shop with some issues. The issues are luckily very minor, such as a crooked mirror, a button not working, a rough riding suspension, and so on. But they do require being fixed before they are fully roadworthy. To the show's credit, they do whatever fixing or adjusting that needs to be done even after the episode is filmed. It usually depends on the condition of the car before all the work was done. Some were sitting for years and have rust or missing parts and require more fundamental changes than others. Of all the issues that could go wrong after the overhaul, the most common issue was related to the paint jobs. The quality of work was top-notch, but given the short timeline, there would be blemishes and scratches that need to be touched up later.
And this is over a ton of cow manure. Wait till you see what we're about to do with it. We're gonna put the lies in fertilizer. Man, this is hard to wash and smell. James spots us from his house and comes out to investigate.
Oh, what happened?
The show really tries to anger the Marks. The big hook of the show, other than the unique and detailed car designing, is how they end up tricking the Mark to take their car away. They spend a lot of time planning and executing the elaborate fake thefts, making up legal allegations, or coordinating a body shop that previously had their car to say they lost it. If you're wondering why the authorities didn't do anything, when they were contacted by the Mark, they were always in on the prank themselves. During the prank's planning, police, neighbors, and the Mark's family members were contacted well before the overhaul, making the only person who didn't know about what was going to happen the Mark themselves. The show picked contestants who had a very deep emotional attachment to their vintage antique car, so they would show an extremely entertaining outburst when they learned that their car is either lost or being taken away.
A very special replacement is now on its way in.
This is a Ford Motorsport 460 Super Cobra Jet.
aluminum heads, 550 horsepower.
Some of the cars totally lose their value due to the changes. Well, there are many benefits of having your car overhauled, such as your project is worth way more than just an average restored car. There is also a negative side to the level of change that some of them go through. Sometimes when Chip designs the car, it is fundamentally changed to the point the actual kind of car is also changed. Aristotle's ship of Theseus law addresses exactly what and how much change can be performed before a car is considered a different car. Essentially, a car's identity is tied to its chassis, so there is no problem adding or modifying body and engine parts. Changes at the chassis level also change the car's identity, and thus making its potential value something entirely new. Cars that are modified too substantially are usually not to enthusiasts' liking of the particular type, and thus completely changing the class of car that it once was.
Okay, now you can put your hand down, but keep your eyes closed.
Eyes closed.
Chip, you did that?
Yeah.
Celebrity overhauls receive a lot of negative feedback. Earlier we said that the show was a passion project for Chip, and most of the people who were overhauled were ordinary people with an inspirational story. Many fans tuned in to see this, and it became a trademark for the show. Well, the show started to eventually lose ratings, and Overhaulin was in financial troubles, so they tried to boost ratings by adding several celebrity episodes. This was taken very negatively by viewers and seen by fans as disingenuous to the spirit of the show. Some of the celebrity overhauls include Ian Ziering and Jason Priestley, Lance Armstrong, Tony Todd, and Amber Heard. People would tune into the show, but the overall perception from the core audience resulted in the celebrity episodes being very limited. The reactions could seem a bit cruel, but the viewer is always right in the rating business. Misfit Garage was officially canceled after this happened.
Hey man, stop. I think something's burning.
Oh my God. So what do you think you're gonna call your new shop here?
FU Garage.
Like as in F me?
No, as in Fired Up Garage.
Fired up, okay, got it. I was like, damn man, that's rough.
Some of the trademark bust-ups were faked. Misfit Garage is known for its colorful characters and colorful language. But like a lot of reality shows, a lot of this is put on for the cameras, especially with feuds between their old boss Richard Rawlings. It's important to note that Rawlings has a huge stake in the show, being an executive producer on it. He is also the landlord of the Fired Up Garage and in charge of its finances. It would make sense for him to throw some staged spice into the show to increase its success, right? Add the fact that he gets $22,000 for each appearance on the show, then the plot thickens. Fans have often speculated how all this looks a little too convenient to be true, and it seems like the person who benefits most from Rawlings' antics is actually Rawlings himself.
All right, so here we are, guys. That is the home of the Fired Up Garage. As you can see, closed up trying to drum. There is a shop on the other side of this building here where a lot of the work has been done. So, as you can see, they did get the door open. I believe there's a lady in there, but that back in there is where you saw the shots at.
The TV show might just be for show. There has been plenty of talks online about the legitimacy of the shop and its ability to actually fix cars. Certain members of the online community have pointed out Plasti-Dip being used to do a paint job, as well as other examples of workmanship that would be considered worse than shoddy if it were real. This has led to claims that none of it is real at all, and the shop front is just a front. On top of this, online reviewers have said that they have never actually seen the shop open. All that's found instead is a big board hanging by the gate stating that it's a closed set. Before Fired Up took over, the garage used to be a daily functioning garage, and very clearly open for business, but no longer. Apparently, it still even got the previous owner's sign at the fence. All of this seems very suspicious and like a film set. Who's ever heard of a garage that's only open for set periods of the year and that the public can't get into?
All right, I tell you what, you like the car, you know where it's at. Tell me what you're feeling. What do you feel?
You know, I'm feeling 75.
75 is not going to work. It's going to have to be past 100 for
Past
this car.
100.
It's going to have to be.
You know, I could possibly go 85.
Well, I'm sorry that you came or flew all the way
Okay,
down.
I've given you two numbers and you've only given me one number.
The garage couldn't make enough money on restorations alone to stay open. On top of the claims that the garage isn't real at all, is the fact that it wouldn't be able to make the money needed to avoid going under. Of course, that's ignoring the fact that it operates as a TV show. Then of course it could stay open with all that profit from those tuning in. But then why would it need to operate as a garage at all when the cameras weren't there? The profit the garage turns for the average build sits at just $2,000. If you do the math, then the garage would have to restore at least 50 cars a month to make $100,000. As we live in a world when time and labor isn't limitless for a relatively small-time garage in Dallas, then this doesn't really check out. This is why it makes even more sense for Rawlings to be firing things up on the show.
So today we got our mail at Gas Monkey Garage, just like every other day, except for there was a coupon packet in there. You get one every month, you know, it's local businesses. The very first one is Fired Up Garage, offering $10 oil changes. That caught my eye because immediately I'm a business guy and I'm like, you can't change oil for $10.
Do they understand they're losing money there? Non-transferable unless she's smacking, like no tea.
Smoking,
like,
I guess?
Is this smacking?
Man, I got my mail today.
Oh yeah, you gonna come over and get a $10 oil change?
Well, I can't because it's Gas Monkey Garage employees are not eligible. Where's the math in that?
Are you not thinking about business here? You're not using your head. That's to get them in the door. You always find something else wrong they need.
The show could just be a Rawlings marketing machine. Rawlings is no idiot, and he is developing quite the portfolio for himself. He's got the show that Misfit Garage is based on, Fast and Loud. He's actually mentioned in the credits as an executive producer right after producer Eddie Rowetter. He's even got credit for on-camera talent for his many appearances, so it's fair to assume he makes a fair amount of profit from it. On top of those two shows, he introduced Garage Rehab in August 2017, another show on Discovery. Away from the TV, there's his restaurant empire of the Gas Monkey Bar and Grill business, with the Gas Monkey live music venues. Not to mention all the merch that comes from the show itself. He can add Dodge to his list of pies he has his fingers in, as well as he's done commercials for them. If you add all that together, you get about a $20 million net worth. So he's a very successful entrepreneur that knows formulas that sell. It's no wonder then that some think Misfit Garage is just another asset in his portfolio that he tweaks for profit. Rumors have suggested that the firing that led to Tom Smith and Jordan Butler leaving Gas Monkey Garage could have all been faked to set up a profitable spinoff. It wouldn't be the craziest theory considering everything else on the show seems more fabricated than one of the shop's chassis. Add to this the formulaic episode format across all of Rawlings' shows, and the rumor seems to have a lot of truth in them.
Hey, Thomas. Yeah, what's up?
It's my last day here, guys. I'm leaving Fired Up Garage.
You know this couldn't happen at a worse time. I always say, when it rains, it pours.
The show staff has a pretty bad retention rate. A lot of the apparent staff have left the show over the seasons, citing the show's drama as reasons for going. Of course, this is assuming the shop is a shop at all. Maybe they weren't interested in the acting roles and actually wanted to work on some cars. The garage has lost former founding partners Scott McMillan and Jordan Butler, plus a few others as well. Butler especially has gone suspiciously quiet since leaving the show. It could be that he was genuinely sick of the whole thing and wanted to be rid of it. But this all fuels the fire for the rumors when nothing is said. The amount of staff who have left since the show started seems suspiciously constant to add drama to the show, or it could just be that the constant fighting does genuinely get to them. That's of course if you believe the constant fighting to be genuine. Of course, the whole thing could be part of Rawlings' master plan for world domination. Maybe we'll never find out.
Are we flaring this or bending it?
Flaring the end. We're putting new exhaust on the fastback Mustang. Turns out we need a pipe bender to hook it up to the headers. So we're over here at Gas Monkey using Richard's tools because he's so good at tooling.
What brings you guys over here?
We're gonna need to flare the end of that tube.
Aaron said we can come over and use your tools whenever we wanted.
Hey, Richard told me to get that to you.
What is it?
For real? 2 hours? We were only here 20 minutes.
Paid in full.
I'm not taking that. I'll get fired.
The end? The show's 13-episode 6th season debuted on May 2nd, 2018 on the Discovery Channel. But since that run, nothing has been released since, and there's no word on a 7th season of Misfit Garage. Just like the silence of Jordan Butler, the show's producers haven't said anything about a potential 7th season, which would have been due around Easter 2020. All this suggests that Misfit Garage has become one restoration too far, and that the engine has officially stopped working. Of course, this year has been a weird one, and it might be the case that there's a pause in production, but a 7th season would have all been filmed before the pandemic, so there should be no reason not to expect more episodes. It could be the case that the Rawlings machine just didn't have the fuel left in the tank, and it was an executive decision to call the show. Of course, assuming that the majority of the show is real, and this is a very big assumption to make, then the garage may well have been damaged by its departures and struggle to sustain itself. But it's worth saying that considering the amount of the show that appears to be staged, and maybe even its origins itself, it's fair to assume that a show like this was never going to last forever. It might just be the case that Rawlings wanted to put a little bit more loving into one of many pies that he's got his fingers in. Vegas Rat Rods officially ended after this happened.
Oh, coming in hot! Look out!
And Justin and Dave's recklessness finally catches up with them.
Dude, did you hit somebody? Check it out. This is Welder Up. I'm Steve Darnell. Come see my shop. You're gonna love this. We build badass rat rods. Yeah!
History. Vegas Rat Rods was a Discovery Channel series that followed Steve Darnell and his crew at Welder Up, a customization car shop located in Las Vegas, Nevada. Here, the crew would regularly push the boundaries of human imagination by building some of the most unique and beautiful vehicles you will ever see. The term rat rods refers to hot rods that you would find in the 1940s, 50s, and early 60s. But what makes the build truly unique is the fact that the crew is not looking to actually restore or recreate these amazing vehicles. Rather, they take basic designs and piece together what would be considered Frankenstein vehicles, using parts and materials from a number of other sources. The end results were always stunning, easily classified as works of art. Along with making gorgeous hot rods, the show is known for focusing almost exclusively on the raw talent and skill of each of the cast members. This is a far cry from other shows such as American Chopper, which would regularly highlight tensions and drama between the cast members. Sure, there are disagreements and arguments from time to time, but this is not the main focus of the show. It is all about the heart and passion of the crew. So, after 4 successful seasons on the Discovery Channel, why did it get taken off the air? After all, it was a pretty successful show, not prone to scandal or controversy. The answer isn't exactly one dramatic story that is filled with twists and turns. Rather, there were a few smaller factors that needed to be addressed.
No, days are going by and nothing's getting done. But the longer we wait to put that cab on, the further and further back we're getting. It's like I have to build a fire under these guys once in a while to get them going again. Grab that cab, let's put it on this truck, and let's get going.
What do you want there? I'll put whatever you want.
I want you to use a grinding disc like I asked you to and not be about it. You got it? Yep. I pay for the not you.
The show was very demanding on many members of the crew. It is one thing trying to run a successful body shop. It's an entirely different sort of beast when you bring in a camera crew and production team that are responsible for making your daily job into a reality show. Before the Discovery Channel came along, Welder Up was already a successful business and had been in operation for a number of years. When they made the call to allow the Discovery Channel to come in and document their day-to-day operations, many of them weren't exactly ready for what that entailed. Many times, the crew was required to be there for 12 hours per day for a number of days in a row in order to complete these complex projects within a certain period of time. After all, the Discovery Channel crew operates with completely different goals in mind. Their focus wasn't the cars, it was filming enough episodes within a certain period of time so that they could put together a full season. This proved to be especially difficult for one of the shop's crew members, Grant Schwartz. When he came along as a fresh face in Season 2, he found it to be much more difficult than he originally thought. First, he had to leave his home for several months straight back in Canada, leaving his wife and children behind. Second, when he arrived at the shop, it was cluttered and disorganized, at least by his standards. He acknowledged that it was more a matter of style, but it just didn't jive with the way he was used to things being done. Finally, the long hours and number of consecutive workdays wore on patience, making it difficult to get along with shop owner Steve. While Grant's situation eventually got better, it is an example of conditions that did not change through the course of the show.
What, is there a rodeo in town? Howdy! It's the cowboy from the Auto Barn! Is this Mr. Steve Darnell? You're the happiest little guy I try, but I see a smile on your face, so it's working. Yeah. I think horsepower's fun and happy. I think rip-roaring, snorting horsepower, burning out in the middle of the road, that dang near, that's get her done fun!
Discovery Channel required Canadian cast members. Vegas Rat Rods ended up being very popular in the United States, even into its later seasons. It attracted the eyes of many celebrities and big-name people who wanted vehicles built for them. But it didn't start off as an American show. It is, in actuality, a Canadian show. It had already gained a very good following before production moved to Las Vegas, Nevada. Discovery Channel, wanting to keep in tune with its Canadian audience, required the show to keep a certain quantity of Canadian content. Otherwise, they would not receive funding for the show. So, in order to resolve this little conundrum, the show always kept at least one Canadian crew member on board. This was incredibly difficult at first. As far as the production of the show is concerned, it not only kept the Canadian feel in the show, but it also helped add some fresh faces to the mix. But on set, it was a bit of a different story. Production crew or not, Steve Darnell had a shop to run. Throughout the seasons of the show, he was being required to adjust to different crew members. The requirement of certain workers would be daunting for any business owner. It seemed to be a constant challenge adjusting to other people's work styles, attitudes, and levels of performance. Although it did add the fresh looks and the Canadian flair for the show as the higher-ups wanted, it was a bit taxing on the actual operations of the business.
My background's actually, I'm a journeyman auto body refinisher, so I fix cars and paint them, but I've always loved Rat Rod. So it was really cool to kind of switch worlds, and then now that I'm here, it's like what just happened?
The exit of Cheyenne Ruther left a big hole to fill. One of the most popular crew members to ever appear on the show came in Season 3, Cheyenne Ruther. The daughter of a body shop owner, she grew up around cars, eventually falling in love with him. Her passion for repairing vehicles was crazy, as she would regularly race, go off-roading, and demolish vehicles, only to help her father repair them in the shop later. When she was in 10th grade, she joined an apprenticeship at the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology to start perfecting her craft. Eventually, Ruther received her Red Seal Journeyman certificate from NAIT. From there, she took off working on some amazing projects and restoring some serious cars. So when she came into the scene during the show's 3rd season as part of Discovery's Canadian crew member requirement, she was excited to show off her skills while contributing to the creation of the automotive masterpieces. She had an amazing experience and was able to work on some fun projects. However, she was the only woman in a shop full of men. It was already hard enough being in an entire industry that was dominated by men. On top of that, she was the one crew member who was Canadian, causing her and even some of the other crew members to question if she was really there because of her skills or because of some requirement. After the season ended, Ruther returned home where she decided to remain with her daughter and pursue other opportunities. Upon her return, she said that she respected the shop, the crew, and the channel, thanking them for giving her the opportunity to appear on the show. However, she also felt as if it didn't really exemplify her true talent. 12 episodes were enough for her. Since the show, she has worked for a few other automotive shops and even worked on some vehicles that made it into the SEMA Auto Show. She currently works as the lead auto body tech and body shop manager at Nefarious Customs. She also keeps a very active Instagram page where she showcases her projects. When the 4th season aired, it was clear that Ruther would not be returning. Although the season saw a bit of success, the ratings were not what they once were. The show left the air after that season. Pimp My Ride officially ended after this happened.
And I just left the building. I know how much they paid for that episode. Okay, just give me $1 million. One. Just give me one. And I was like,
so you want to be a player, but your wheels ain't flying. You got...
To get to the end, we must start at the beginning. MTV released the show back in 2004, and what a show it was. Drawing in a huge audience, believing in everything they saw and heard. The stuff teenagers' dreams were made of. Having rapper Exhibit as the host was the icing on the cake, and for anybody with a need for speed, it was a big hit. It ran for 6 seasons from 2004 to 2007, bringing in loads of bashed-up cars and restoring as well as pimping them, with pool tables, giant LCD television sets, and fish tanks to name a few. In the first 4 seasons, it's the job of the team from West Coast Customs to work their magic on the motors, including Mad Mike, the electronics expert, and tough-looking interior and fabric maven Ish. Not to mention accessory specialist Big Dane and owner of West Coast Customs, Ryan Friedlinghaus. In seasons 5 and 6, the job went to Galpin Autosports after Ryan Friedlinghaus moved his shop to Corona, California. But not all that you see on the outside is for real. There are a few dark stories behind the scenes.
I didn't know it was gonna be a thing. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, yo, man, they want me to do what? Oh, they gonna play my shit on MTV. I don't fix shit on the show. You never see me fix shit. You never see me with one tool on the show. Fixing nothing.
Exhibit and the producers. By all accounts, Exhibit was an awesome and honest host, despite not spending much time in the full production. Although on the show it is made to look like he is heavily involved throughout the process, that isn't strictly true. And when he was there, he certainly did like to take plenty of breaks. The producers, on the other hand, were not so friendly. In fact, at times got pretty angry if they didn't get enough enthusiasm or excitement from the contestants on seeing their shiny new motor revealed, making them film their reactions over and over again until they got the reaction they wanted. Also encouraging one contestant to dump his girlfriend because it made for a better backstory. His story would be more appealing to the public if he was single and lonely. The car would get him the girl of his dreams. Yeah, right. I think it takes a bit more than that. Well, that's what I keep telling myself anyway.
Let's go. The car needs to be clean from A to Z. Got your brand new Cavalier.
Deception before your very eyes. So, to most of our eyes, it looked as if the cars had undergone their transformation in just an afternoon, or at the very most, just a few days. But do not let your eyes deceive you. It actually took far, far longer. Some could take 6 or 7 months, and in that time, the guy waiting for his car to be returned, which is not always easy when you are 17. Some of the cars that appeared on the show looked pretty messed up to start with bumpers hanging off and trash thrown inside them to make them look really bad. This was all done by the producers. It made for great TV, but you have to feel sorry for the guy with his car door hanging off.
One of my crazy ex-girlfriends actually threw nail polish on my hood. Another ex-girlfriend tore off my rear Toyota symbol. I used to call her Bear.
Sexy, sexy.
Some cars were returned with problems. Considering the fact that most of the contestants are lacking finances when they are chosen to take part in the show, it's surprising to learn that when their cars were returned to them, they still had mechanical faults and other problems. Not only that, but after all the time and money spent on them, some of the pimped features didn't work either. A polished turd was how one of the contestants described his car, after paying out $1,700 for a new engine before he could even drive his pimped out ride. So they ended up paying money to fix their cars that they hadn't originally bargained for. The show's producer Larry Hochberg commented that some of the cars were so old and rusty that they would have mechanical issues no matter how much work was put into them.
Remember your old door, right?
Yeah.
Well, check out your new door. Push a button, man. We automated your door and hooked you up with a 27-inch. We hooked you up with high-definition TiVo.
You gotta be kidding me.
The pimped out features were removed from the cars after the show aired. Some of the contestants were instructed, due to safety reasons, to give back some of the more expensive features added to the vehicle. This included a theater, a pop-up champagne contraption, a hot tub taken from a van, and an arcade machine, which maybe is understandable. But why would you take off 24-inch spinning rims and replace them with 20-inch standard rims on a 1977 car? Surely there is nothing unsafe about that. All the upgrades on the show were purely for entertainment reasons. There is no way you could put hot tubs or pool tables in a car without some modification to the suspension or chassis. And you can guarantee the guys pimping that ride were not about to do that. But hey, it looked good in the shots.
Julian? Yeah.
Hello. Nice
Hi,
to finally meet you.
It's on.
I don't know how to open this, but
Some features were unusable. A lot of the features added to the cars looked fantastic, but most people want to do more than look at them, they want to use them. Not very much point in having LEDs installed in the driver's seat if they get too hot to have switched on. Or a cotton candy machine but no room for the lid, so when you used it, candy would fly all over the place. And it's not such a good idea fitting gull-wing doors if you can't use seatbelts due to the pistons being in the way. Very dangerous, in fact illegal.
Come on, man. Yeah.
Houses were faked. We all like to think that not everything is false in the show, but unfortunately it seems not even the houses were the homes of the contestants. MTV decided to put them in a different house to the one they actually lived in, told them to wait patiently and to expect a knock on the door. Maybe a gift certificate or something along those lines. The one realistic thing at this point is the reaction they give when they open the door to see Exhibit standing on the doorstep.
This isn't fix your car, this is Pimp My Ride. And they said, we're not overhauling. You've got a classic car. If that is your intention, is to get it fully rebuilt, and they said, we don't do that. We make it look nice, but we're not going to fully restore it.
A Cinderella story. This show didn't actually contribute to vehicles' mechanical qualities. Instead, it was all about people bringing in their beaten-up old jalopy and left with their beaten-up old jalopy looking better, but still in all probability as likely to break down on the way to work.
Okay, just give me $1 million. One. Just give me one. Oh, Exhibit, we can't do that. It's not in the budget. Dude, you know what? Okay, I'm gone. Then it was just like the show fell apart from there. Yeah. It's just sad because it was a really dope show. It wasn't about me. It wasn't about the car. It wasn't about the kid. It was about wish fulfillment and people at home watching it feeling like this could happen to me.
The end. On 3 occasions during the season finales, the show did not pimp the original automobile. The first turned out to be 2 halves of a Ford Escort welded together to make one car and was declared unsafe. The second was because the participant was studying to be an auto mechanic, so West Coast Customs decided to let him pimp his car as a study project. And the third, Exhibit felt that the owner's car was not worth fixing, as too much heat from the car's engine and battery acid was leaking into the cab, creating a fire hazard. In all of these instances, the vehicles of contestants were replaced with brand new cars, with extensive modifications made to customize each new car for the owner. Despite all the complications and complaints, most of the contestants admit that they had great fun on the show and would do it again, but unfortunately, they cannot. The show has seen a great run, but all good things must come to an end. In 2007, MTV pulled the plug on the show after a waning of viewer interest. And without an audience, there cannot be a show, not to mention the volatile economic climate at the time. And with that said, those are the reasons how Pimp My Ride ended. Feel free to comment down below what you thought of today's video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like and remember to stay crusty, and visit the link below to check out for some crusty merch.